So real talk here, you guys. I came in here this morning and we made a promise to you guys some time ago, because we're the same way you are when it comes to politics, is that we figured that the Bert Show here this season is going to be politics free. It's going to be tense around here over the course of the next couple of months for sure. So our thinking was, let's not even go there. Let's let you guys come to the show for an escape.
There's plenty of other outlets, whether it be Fox News, CNN, ABC News, NBC News, CBS News. There's plenty of other news outlets that you can get your political information from. We just wanted to give you like a safe space and some reprieve.
And part of this, to be honest with you, is selfish on my part. It's a real bummer for me. Yeah. Politics is a real bummer. And I'm not real optimistic. So I'm like, you know what? I've always used this show, 4.5, 5 hours of this show, to get away from my problems, right? And hang out with people that I really like and laugh. So I think it went a whole bunch of different ways. However, based on what happened over the weekend, I don't think we're talking about politics here. I mean, we are talking about American history.
Yeah.
And that is the assassination attempt on a former president, President Trump. So I came in here this morning and I asked these guys, like, how are you feeling about it? Should we talk about it today? Should we not? And I think we all kind of agreed that this isn't really about politics. You know, like I said, this is about history. And I find myself, it's not so much, I got to be really careful because so many people are very, very sensitive about this. But to me, it was more of a gun issue again. I know this was history. I know that it was President Trump also. But to me, I think Cassie said exactly what I was thinking when I walked in here, is that I'm so numb on the gun violence issue in this country. And there are so many mass shootings now in this country that happen every single day. In fact, I looked it up this morning. There are how many now? 261 mass shootings in this country as of July 4th weekend. So now I see a headline for a shooting. Now, this one I had to read. It was our president. I see a mass shooting or I see a shooting in this country. I don't even read the article anymore. That's how sort of numb I've gotten to it. And I hate that. I truly, truly hate that. There was a day we came in here, when Columbine happened. I mean, that's the only thing we talked about for 3 days. Now, there's a mass shooting. We barely even talk about it. So this was really more about guns for me than it was anything else. And I think Cassie said the same thing and how I was feeling also. If this can happen to a president from 150 yards away, which we'll have to talk about also, I have no idea how the dude got that close, then it can happen anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's looking at gun violence, and I believe the shooter used an AR-15. And my thing is, if the Secret Service can't protect a former president against that kind of gun, then to me, the argument, which I've really bought into of, well, I can carry, so that protects me against people with guns. If the Secret Service, who's highly trained, can't do it, then I just don't see the need for that type of weapon. And it is traumatic, and it doesn't matter. I mean, there was an assassination attempt, but people also died at that rally, and one was protecting his daughter, I believe, and I'm so sorry I don't know his name.
Another was 74 years old.
And it's a senseless loss of life, and it doesn't need to be this way, and we have the power to change it, and I don't understand why we're one of the last countries holding out in that regard.
So the two people injured in the shooting have been upgraded from critical condition to stable, and that is 57-year-old David Dutch and 74-year-old James Koppenhaver. And then it was Corey Comparator, 50 years old, of Sarver, Pennsylvania, who died at the shooting. He's a firefighter, and he leaves behind a wife and 2 daughters. And it was witnesses saying that he actually dove to cover his family and protect his daughter.
Mm-hmm. Americans deserve to be able to go out in public without fearing for their life. Or even if you don't fear, like there may be some people who are like, this isn't going to stop me from going in public, and I commend you. But you also have the right to be safe when you're out in a public place.
Mo, Abby?
Nobody is safe. I mean, in that regard, I feel y'all. I felt the same. If you take like the politics out of it and the feelings of politics out of it, for me, just looking at it from a human standpoint, I couldn't help but think about how when you think of times before when former presidents were assassinated or there were assassination attempts, how the world reacted to it in such a serious way and a way to come together. Now it's just like, it's nothing but jokes. Like that's really all you see is people making fun of it. And it gives you a snapshot of where the world is today compared to where it used to be. And obviously that's scary, and we need some kind of change like real soon.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how the American people responded this week. Is it going to be something that divides us more? Is it going to be something that brings us together? Like, we can all agree that something really horrible happened this weekend. You know, no matter what your politics are, it was a horrible thing to happen. And I think it's also important to point out, especially because I'm sure you guys have kids in the car as well. A lot of the shooter's former classmates have spoken out about how this guy was an outcast and bullied. And while gun violence is unacceptable, period, I think you also have to look at it from a human standpoint. You know, if you're going to school today and there's a kid that's getting isolated, I think it was years of bullying and mistreatment that led this guy to get to a mental headspace to do something this insane. So if you're going to school today and you want to do something that you think can better the country, be nice to that kid that's getting isolated in the cafeteria.
Yeah, for me, like, watching this happen and then seeing the reaction, obviously gun control was on my mind, and the divisiveness of this country. And my concern is seeing a further divide. I've seen the jokes, I've seen the memes, and I've seen a plethora of conspiracy theories. There's still a very active investigation going on, and they do not have a motive yet as to why the shooter did this. So, you know, my plea to the American people is to take a step back and to stop spreading misinformation. To, like, if you read something, just don't read a headline and forward it. Like, actually read the article. Do due diligence before you share things. And then the conspiracy theories from both sides, by the way. I mean, they are plentiful, and it's disheartening. Like, it really is, that this is where we are as a country. I mean, the violence alone is unacceptable. And then to use that violence to try to further a narrative is even more unacceptable. So I really want us as a country to take a step back and to see what we are doing to contribute to the divisiveness that is happening right now. We're not going to agree, right? And sometimes we're going to have to agree to disagree. But with that said, I think we can all agree what happened on Saturday was devastating, was completely unacceptable, was wrong on all fronts. And we really have to take a hard look at ourselves and figure out how we got here to take another course.
Yeah, I've said this before on the show. You know, like, it used to be that we didn't have to agree with each other, right? You and I could disagree and we could walk away from each other. Now it feels to me like if you and I disagree, I have to hate you, or you have to hate me for my opinion. And I think social media, I think online is to blame here also. I think we've just got to a point where we've stopped listening to each other, and it's got to such a violent place that you're much more optimistic than I am. I just don't see it returning back to a way where we start to listen to each other again and we can have these differences. Now it ends up back in violence.
Hope is the only thing I have to hold on to.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what the answers are either.
I don't even know if I have hope at this point. Yeah. But yeah, I hope it can be better moving forward.
The Bert Show.